Let me tell you something most people won't. The world doesn't care about your peace. It feeds off your reaction. The more emotional you are, the easier you are to control. The more you care what people think, the more they own you. And as Buddha once said, you will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger. That one truth alone explains why most people suffer, not because of what happens, but because of how they respond. But what if you could walk through betrayal, manipulation, and judgment and feel absolutely nothing? What if no one could shake your peace, not even life itself? Today, we're diving into 10 brutal yet liberating Buddhist principles that will make your mind untouchable. These aren't soft, sugar-coated ideas. These are hard truths, and they'll set you free. 1. People use you until you stop letting them. It's a hard truth, but one you need to hear. People will continue to take advantage of your kindness for as long as you allow it. The more you give without setting boundaries, the more others begin to expect, and eventually they stop appreciating it. Kindness is a beautiful quality, but without wisdom and limits, it can quickly turn into self-destruction. Buddhism teaches compassion, yes, but not at the cost of your self-respect. True compassion includes knowing when to say no, when to walk away, and when to protect your own peace. You're not being cruel by creating distance from those who constantly take from you. You're simply choosing to honor your own energy. When you continue to give while others continue to take, you slowly begin to lose yourself. Your kindness becomes a burden, not a blessing. And here's the painful part. People will rarely stop using you out of guilt. They will only stop when you stop allowing it. So, draw the line. Create space. Respect yourself enough to recognize when someone is only around for what you can do for them. You are not here to be everyone's emotional dumping ground or personal problem solver. You are here to grow, to heal, and to protect the light within you. Remember, protecting your energy is not selfish, it's sacred, and no one else is going to do it for you. 2. Your emotions are being used against you. Most people don't realize this, but your emotions are one of the easiest ways for others to control you. The moment someone knows what triggers you, what makes you angry, insecure, jealous, or desperate, they can push those buttons anytime they want. And once they can control your emotional state, they can control your behavior, your decisions, and even your peace. Buddhism teaches us not to suppress emotions, but to observe them without attachment. When you react blindly, you're handing your power over to whoever triggered you. Think about it. How many times have you said or done something you later regretted, simply because someone got under your skin? That's not power. That's emotional slavery. The world is full of manipulation, from social media to toxic relationships to environments designed to provoke strong emotional responses. Why? Because emotional people are easier to control. Fear, anger, jealousy, and desperation can cloud your judgment and lead you down a path that isn't even yours. To stay mentally unaffected, you must become emotionally intelligent. You must train yourself to pause before reacting, to sit with your feelings instead of being ruled by them. You can feel anger without lashing out. You can feel fear without running. That's the strength Buddhism builds. Calm in chaos. Awareness in emotion. Remember this, the more emotionally reactive you are, the more easily you can be controlled. But when you master your emotions, no one can use them against you. You become unshakable, and that is true mental freedom. 3rd, kindness without power is self-destruction. Kindness is one of the most respected virtues in Buddhism, but kindness without strength becomes a weapon used against you. The world doesn't always reward those who are nice. In fact, it often tests them. If you're constantly kind to others while allowing them to walk all over you, you're not being spiritual, you're being silently destroyed. Buddhism teaches balance. Compassion must be paired with wisdom. Too often, people confuse being kind with being passive, and that's where the suffering begins. You say yes when you want to say no. You keep giving chances to people who don't deserve them, and you smile to keep the peace while dying inside. That's not enlightenment. That's emotional self-betrayal. Here's the truth. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Some people see your gentle nature as an opportunity to manipulate you, to take advantage of you, to use your silence as permission. And unless you learn to balance kindness with boundaries, your good heart becomes a target for those who seek to drain it. Being truly kind doesn't mean you allow people to disrespect you. It means you help where you can. But you also walk away when needed. It means you speak with softness, but not at the cost of your self-respect. True power is when your heart is kind, but your spine is unbreakable. So remember, kindness should not come from weakness, fear, or guilt. It should come from confidence, strength, and clarity. When you are kind from a place of power, no one can misuse it, and your peace remains intact. 4. Most people secretly want you to fail. This is a truth many people feel but are too afraid to admit. Not everyone is happy when you succeed. In fact, some of the people closest to you may secretly wish for your downfall. They smile in front of you. But behind the mask, there's quiet envy, comparison, and even resentment. Buddhism teaches non-attachment not just to material things, but to people and their opinions. Why? Because human nature, when unchecked, often leans toward jealousy. The moment you begin to rise, emotionally, spiritually, or materially, it shines a light on other people's insecurities. Your growth becomes a silent reminder of where they've remained stuck. And instead of being inspired, many would rather see you pulled back down. This is why the Buddha often spoke about the dangers of surrounding yourself with the wrong people, people whose intentions are not as pure as their words. You don't need loud enemies to fall. Sometimes all it takes is silent ones, disguised as friends, family, or even well-wishers, to plant doubt, to withhold support, to quietly hope you stumble. The lesson: protect your energy by being selective with who you share your dreams, plans, and progress with. Not everything needs to be announced. Let your growth be private, your peace be sacred, and your progress speak for itself. Understand this: your success will test people's character more than your failure ever will. And that's okay. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to rise, with or without applause. So walk your path with awareness, not bitterness. And remember, a peaceful mind needs no crowd. It needs clarity, solitude, and a circle that doesn't get smaller when you shine. 5. Not everyone deserves access to you. Your time, your energy, your presence, these are sacred. But the painful truth is that many people treat them like they're disposable. Not because they're evil, but because you've made yourself too available. The more accessible you are to everyone, the more invisible your value becomes. Buddhism teaches mindfulness, not just of your thoughts, but of your space. Who you allow into your life affects your inner peace. Every person carries energy. Some uplift you, others drain you. Some bring calm, others bring chaos. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself mentally exhausted, not because of life, but because of the people you've allowed too close. You are not required to be everything for everyone. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your emotional energy, your kindness, or your attention. Setting boundaries isn't being rude, it's being wise. Just like a temple is not open 24/7 to every passerby, your mind and soul deserve the same protection. And here's something many struggle to accept. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from people you care about because they no longer align with your peace. You can love someone and still recognize they are not healthy for your mind. Buddhism teaches non-attachment, even to people. It's not about cutting everyone off. It's about choosing who aligns with your growth. So protect your circle. Let your presence be earned, not exploited. You are not an open door, you are a sacred space. And not everyone deserves the key. 6. Comfort is a trap disguised as safety. Most people think comfort equals peace. But in truth, comfort is often the quiet killer of your potential. It feels good, it feels safe, it feels familiar. But that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because what feels easy in the moment often leads to regret later. Buddhism teaches us that everything is impermanent, always changing, always shifting. But when you cling to comfort, you resist that natural flow. You begin to fear change, avoid challenge, and settle for less than you're capable of. Slowly, your dreams shrink, your courage fades, and your spirit dulls. And the worst part, you won't even notice it happening until it's too late. Growth doesn't come from doing what's easy. It comes from discomfort, from showing up even when you're scared, from facing situations that stretch your limits. And that's what the Buddhist path is all about. Stepping beyond the illusions of ease and stepping into awareness. Just like still water becomes stagnant, so does the human soul, when it avoids the unknown. The comfort zone is not your friend. It's your silent prison. It convinces you that safety is more important than purpose, that stability is more valuable than self-discovery. So the next time something feels too comfortable, ask yourself, is this peace? Or is this paralysis? You were not meant to play small. You were meant to evolve. True inner peace doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from growing through it, not a knife. Rejection hurts. 7. Rejection is a mirror, not a knife. There's no denying that. Whether it's from someone you love, a job you wanted, or a dream that didn't unfold, it can feel like a personal attack, like a knife cutting into your worth. But here's what Buddhism teaches us. Rejection is not here to break you. It's here to reveal you. Every rejection is a mirror. It reflects something back at you. Your attachments, your expectations, your hidden insecurities. The pain you feel isn't just about the rejection itself. It's about what you attached your identity to. You believe that without this person or this opportunity, you were less. And that's where suffering begins. Not from the event, but from how deeply you tied your self-worth to it. Buddhism teaches non-attachment, and this applies especially to outcomes and validation. When you're attached to a specific result, rejection feels like failure. But when you detach and see rejection as guidance, not punishment, everything changes. You begin to realize that what didn't work out may have saved you, that closed doors protect you just as much as open ones do. Rejection also teaches you who you are without external approval. It strips away the illusion and forces you to confront your raw, unfiltered self. It asks, can you still value yourself even when the world doesn't? Can you still walk forward even when others walk away? This is where your power begins, not in being accepted, but in accepting yourself when no one else does. So the next time you're rejected, don't let it stab your self-worth. Let it reflect your strength. Let it reveal where your healing still lives. Let it remind you, you are not here to fit into every place. You are here to grow into the right one. 8. Validation is the fastest way to lose yourself. At some point in your life, you started seeking approval. Maybe as a child, trying to win a parent's attention. Maybe at school, trying to fit in. Maybe now, scrolling endlessly, hoping someone will like, comment, or applaud your existence. It starts small, harmless even, but it grows silently, and before you know it, your self-worth isn't coming from within anymore. It's coming from outside sources that you can't control. That's the danger. You begin to trade your authenticity for applause. You wear masks to be accepted. You adjust your personality to be liked. You hold your tongue to avoid judgment. You post what people want to see. You say what others want to hear. And in that quiet exchange, piece by piece, you disappear. Buddhism teaches us that freedom begins when we stop clinging. And one of the deepest attachments is the attachment to being liked, to being approved of, to being told you're good enough. But here's the truth. If you constantly seek validation, you're living a version of your life that isn't even yours. You're building your identity on shifting ground, other people's moods, opinions, biases, and insecurities. And that foundation, it will collapse. Because no matter how hard you try, you will never be enough for people who don't even know who they are. Ask yourself, what parts of me have I silenced just to be accepted? What dreams have I buried to stay normal? What truths have I hidden because I feared being alone? That's how you lose yourself, not all at once, but in small daily compromises. Validation is a trap because it feels good temporarily. It gives you a dopamine hit. It reassures your ego, but it also makes you a prisoner of people's approval. And the day they take it away, which they always do, you're left empty, anxious, and unsure of who you even are without their applause. Buddhism teaches us to walk the middle path, a life of balance and awareness. It doesn't say we shouldn't appreciate praise, but it warns us not to become dependent on it. Because the person who stands in their truth without needing to be understood is free. The day you stop chasing validation is the day you begin to heal. You begin to speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. You begin to live your purpose, even if no one supports you. You begin to dress, think, speak, and exist in alignment with your soul, not society. And that right there is where peace begins. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, not your worth, not your intelligence, not your goodness, not your success. You are not here to be universally liked. You are here to be deeply, unapologetically, fully yourself. The moment you stop needing their approval, you reclaim your power. And the world, it might resist you at first, but eventually it will respect you. Because people may like you for your performance, but they'll remember you for your authenticity. 9. Silence makes you dangerous. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. Look around. Everyone is rushing to speak, to argue, to prove a point, to post their thoughts, to be loud enough to be noticed. But the more people speak, the more they reveal their insecurities, their desperation, and their lack of control. Buddhism teaches something radically different. The most powerful voice is often no voice at all, because silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of power. When you are silent, you are not withdrawing. You are commanding. You are telling the world, I don't need to convince you. I know who I am. That calmness in the face of chaos, that stillness in the middle of conflict, it terrifies people. Because silence removes the game, it removes the reaction, it removes the control others try to have over you. You become unreadable, and unreadable people cannot be manipulated. Let this truth settle deep. The louder someone is, the more they reveal. They expose their fears, their insecurities, their emotional wounds. But the one who stays quiet, they remain in control. They reveal nothing, and in that nothing, they possess everything. That's why silence is feared, because it forces people to deal with themselves, with their guilt, with their intentions, with the discomfort of not being able to predict or provoke you. Buddhism teaches us to respond, not react, and sometimes the best response is no response at all. Not because you're weak, but because you've elevated beyond the level of the conversation. You don't argue with fools. You don't correct every lie. You don't chase down every misunderstanding. Why? Because peace is more valuable than proving a point. When you practice silence, you protect your energy, your mind, and your spirit. You no longer waste time explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand you. You don't drain yourself defending your actions to those who've already made up their minds. You stop performing for a world that's not even paying attention. And what happens next? You begin to observe more. You begin to understand human nature more deeply. You start hearing what's not being said. You see people's motives. You recognize manipulation. You sense dishonesty without a word being spoken. Why? Because silence sharpens intuition. You move differently. You no longer react to petty drama, shallow opinions, or emotional bait. Your presence becomes rare. Your energy becomes untouchable. And your silence, it speaks volumes. It says, I don't need your validation. I am not here to argue. I choose peace over pride. I am listening. I am watching. And I see more than you think. People will begin to wonder, why aren't you reacting? Why aren't you defending yourself? Why does nothing shake you anymore? And the answer is simple. You've mastered the art of detachment. You've learned to protect your inner peace. And you've realized that not every battle deserves your sword. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. So stop speaking to be understood. Stop reacting to be respected. Start choosing silence as your weapon. And watch how the world changes its tone when you no longer play their game. That's not silence from weakness. That's silence from mastery. 10. Detached like nothing is yours. If there's one truth Buddhism teaches with unwavering clarity, it is this. Clinging is the root of all suffering, yet we cling to everything. People, money, titles, identities, dreams, relationships, routines. As if they are permanent fixtures in a world that is always changing. But nothing is truly yours. Not your success, not your possessions, not even the people you love. Everything you hold today can disappear tomorrow, and often it does. This isn't meant to be depressing, it's meant to set you free, because when you truly understand that nothing belongs to you, you stop fighting so hard to keep what was never yours to begin with. You stop breaking down every time life takes a turn. You stop begging for things to stay, and you start flowing with what is. That is detachment. And it's not cold, it's not careless, it's not giving up. Detachment is choosing peace over possession. It's loving without owning. It's working without obsessing. It's living without fearing what might leave. Imagine holding sand in your hand. If you grip it too tightly, it spills through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it rests peacefully in your palm. That's how life works. The more tightly you try to control things, people, outcomes, situations, the more they slip away. We suffer because we convince ourselves that things are supposed to stay. But the truth, everything in this life is borrowed. Every smile, every sunset, every friend, every moment of joy, all of it is on loan. The only question is, will you enjoy it while it lasts? Or will you suffer when it's gone? The Buddha taught that attachment is not love. In fact, true love is found in freedom. When you love someone but demand they stay, change, or fulfill your needs, that isn't love. That's fear pretending to be love. True love says, I care about you, but you are free. I won't trap you with my expectations. This idea applies not just to people, but also to your goals. You can work hard for your dreams, but don't hold on too tightly, because when life chooses a different path, holding on to what you wanted only brings pain. You have to be like water, flexible, moving, and open to believe. Here's a truth many people avoid. The tighter you grip something, the more it hurts when life says it's time to let go. And life will say so. People will leave, plans will fail, things will break. And it's not personal, it's simply how life works. That's why detachment is the greatest form of spiritual strength. Not because you stop loving, but because you stop hurting from the loss. You've already accepted that everything is temporary. So, what does living with detachment mean? It means you can love someone deeply and still let them go when the time comes. It means you can enjoy money without fearing its loss. It means you can feel proud of your achievements, but still feel whole without them. It means you live fully, beautifully, and passionately without letting life control you. And that's the key. When you stop holding on, you stop being controlled. You're no longer a prisoner to what leaves. You stop breaking down from change. You stop falling apart over things beyond your control. You become calm, strong, and steady. Not because nothing touches you, but because you no longer try to hold what was never truly yours. And in that freedom, you finally breathe. You see life with fresh eyes, not as something to own or fight, but as something to live through moment by moment, without holding on, without fear, and without struggle. Because now you understand, everything that comes is here to teach you, and everything that goes is here to set you free. So let go, as if nothing belongs to you, because in truth, it doesn't. But in that space, you'll find everything. Heal quietly. Not everyone needs to see your pain. In a world that shares everything, there's something special about staying silent in your struggle. People often tell you to speak out, share, and be open. And while honesty is valuable, there's wisdom in keeping some things private. Buddhism teaches that healing is a personal path, a slow, quiet journey of the soul. Not everyone needs to know what you're going through. The truth is, most people don't really care. Sadly, some may use your pain against you by judging, gossiping, or secretly enjoying your downfall. Here's a tough truth. Some people don't listen to help. They listen just to feel better about their own lives. When you share your pain with the wrong people, you give them a version of your story that they might twist, mock, or use. You give them emotional access to places they don't deserve. And by doing so, you delay your own healing. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because the space around you isn't safe. That's why Buddhism teaches retreat, self-reflection, and being alone. When you sit with yourself, without noise, without acting, without needing to be seen, you begin to hear your true self. You start to understand your pain, not through pity, but through awareness. You don't need the world to notice your scars to prove you've grown. Some of your greatest transformations will happen in silence, without attention, without anyone knowing, and without being fully understood. You heal in silence, not because you're hiding your pain, but because you're protecting it like a wound that needs time to heal. Your feelings need a peaceful space to rest. Not everyone should have a front row seat to your healing. Here's the shift. When you finally rise, quietly, calmly, completely, you won't need to explain how you got there. Your peace will speak for itself. Your energy will feel different. Your presence will change. The people who once saw you broken will sense something they can't describe, but they'll know you're no longer the same. So don't rush to prove your healing. Don't overshare just to be understood. Don't give your pain to those who haven't earned your trust. Sit with yourself, heal quietly, rebuild in private, because your growth is sacred, and not everyone should witness your comeback. You don't need to shout to show strength. You don't need revenge to succeed, and you don't need approval to know your worth. Just live by these 10 truths, and you'll move through life untouched, unshaken, and at peace. If this video gave you clarity, like, comment, and subscribe for more raw inner wisdom. And let me know in the comments which truth resonated with you the most today. Until next time, stay calm, stay sharp, and stay untouchable.